We need to talk about Cinderella. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Critical Commentary. I'm Taylor, and today we're going to be talking about the new Camila Cabello Cinderella on Amazon Prime, and that it was actually kind of good. Am I actually saying that? It was kind of good. I was a little bit hesitant when I initially started watching this movie, mostly because I feel like every 3 to 5 years we get a new retelling of the Cinderella tale. It's so clockworky that it's just I don't know. I feel like it's become a little bit oversaturated, but I also kind of understand why this movie is retold so much, because I've noticed that as we evolve as a society, the messages of Cinderella alter with our new set of values and concerns and priorities. One of the biggest, or I guess you could say blatant aspects of this film that I'm kind of like compelled to bring up is how this movie is really heavily pulling from two different films. They're not different. They're definitely of the same genre. They're both fairy tale retellings with modern twists and a musical, but one is a Cinderella story and the other is Ella Enchanted. And by Cinderella story, I'm talking about the 1997 Brandi, Roger, and Hammerstein Cinderella. Keep that it's on Disney Plus right now. Thank me later. If you are a millennial, a person of color, you will remember this movie because it was the movie that made me realize that you really can't take a British man and a black woman with locks and get an Asian son. But it was the pinnacle of diversity. That movie, it was just like, we have a bunch of people in a play. It's kind of like how you would cast a play. That, I think, is what made it so good. It was like you had a diverse group of actors, you placed them where they were the best fit, and that's just kind of how that movie went on. And it had Roger and Hammerstein's beautiful musical numbers to add to it, so it was extremely original. And you can tell that the Amazon Prime version, the one that just came out, is very heavily taking from it. And even in the most basic ways, the thing that made me go, that's not original, is the outfit choices and the fabric choices. If you look at the Roger and Hammerstein's, the Disney Cinderella of the 90s. Gonna call it Brandi Cinderella. Okay, it's Brandi Cinderella. Let's just be honest right now. Brandi Cinderella takes very distinctly 90s fabrics and puts it on the silhouettes of this, let's just call it ye old Hollywood fashion, if you get my drift. Even the town crier's character somewhat felt like a nod to Jason Alexander's rendition of the Princess Giving a Ball number, because the town crier is like, I mean, it's a big role, but it's also not. And I felt like they were doing a lot of scenes in the square to kind of focus a little bit more on that town, and you see that a little bit more in Brandi Cinderella than I think you see in a lot of other films. I'm honestly not mad that they chose to emulate Brandi Cinderella, mostly because there is more diversity in that. I think it's interesting how, of what, I think it's 3 separate, somewhat franchises of Cinderella, with the obvious 1950 original, and then the Lily James remake in the 2010s. I'm ballparking here, that they would decide to use this one, because I think that the Brandi Cinderella is just iconic. It's so stylistic. But what I also loved about my millennial childhood or my zillennial childhood, whatever you want to call it, was Ella Enchanted with Anne Hathaway and ironically Minnie Driver, who plays the queen in this version of the Cinderella story. So it's like you can tell Kay Cannon definitely knew what she was doing with how she decided to depict this film, because you can tell sis understood the assignment, okay? While this movie is definitely leaning towards more camp, which is, I mean, expected in a fairy tale like this, I would have to say that the cast really does do a good job. I do actually have to commend Camila Cabello for being a pretty spunky and cute and funny Cinderella, which was really hard because honestly I feel like it's kind of irresponsible to not bring up her Twitter or social media history of using the N word, because I don't really know how else to bring it up. It does make her seem very problematic. And I know that right now on Twitter, there's a lot of people kind of going, I'm not going to see it because she said it, and I'm going to see it even though she said it because she's, done actual work to change. So I wouldn't say that it doesn't cast a heavy shadow, but I do have to say that regardless of how you feel about it, she does do the role well, and it works out that she's cute and that she sings, and so there's just like a lot going for her. And I would say that she kind of is one of the main points that drew me in. If I have to compare her to other versions of Cinderella, Drew Barrymore and Brandi play a more like intellectual and quiet introvert, and then you've got Lily James, who is still somewhat introvert, but she's kind of spunky and she's cute. And you even have like Hilary Duff, who's like hardworking. I would kind of say that she's somewhere in the middle of all of those characters. She's definitely intellectual, focused on not defining herself by a man, which is ironic because in this version of the storytelling, the prince actually doesn't become king. His sister does. So this is definitely a movie that's like under a feminist lens. I don't know if it's for the best, but I mean, again, these movies always change. They always have a different message. The original story is a lot gorier than what we've evolved into now. So it's kind of ridiculous to be like, oh, I wish it wasn't so feminist, because we're kind of allowed to project whatever current issues we're having in society onto this story, and it normally translates well. So she's like kind of this character that is in love. She falls in love. She meets this guy even though she only met him a day, and that's even the joke that I think James Corden throws is, he's like, isn't it only a day? And that's like really funny. And so like they play on those tropes, the original story tropes, but they also give us something more meaty, and I respected that, I think, because like this story is done, we've seen it. There's no spoiler because we already know the spoilers. We know how this movie ends. So I like that they at least challenged us a little bit more by giving us a more modernized take on it. Because that's really all you can do when you remake a story like this. So what did you think about the new Cinderella film? Did you like it? I kind of want to have a poll. So if you could let me know down in the comments what is your favorite, or who is your favorite Cinderella/Cinderella movie. I would love to know. I mean, honestly, I would say that Brandi's Cinderella is 100% like top one. She's the top, number one. Mostly because that dress just, oh my God, that dress used to be just in my mind all the time. And then I would have to say, honestly, Drew Barrymore and Ever After, just like, the breathe scene. Those are my top two if you guys want to know. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Also, let me know about this movie if you like it or not. And let's start a discussion about Cinderella. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at CriticalCom with 2M's TV. And make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video here on Critical Commentary. Bye, guys.